And hello out there, internet world. It's your bearded brothers, and we are back with yet another sports podcast covering yet another week of sports crap. I'm Matt. At least I think I am.
Hi.
That should be Chris, but who knows? We could both be AI simulations for all you know. That would account for some of our atrocious takes, and that would certainly account for me losing every single split game this week. And I don't mean just like losing against Chris. I mean I lost every single game we split on. Chris with the clean sweep. Get out your brooms and then stick a fork in me because I'm done. Alright. But before we get into all that noise, we do have some news to talk about. Non-football news first, because we do we do some non-football news. So, the Ottawa Senators, having already fired their general manager, Pierre Dorian, have finally pulled the trigger and fired head coach DJ Smith. He is gone. And the guy who's the interim head coach, I don't expect to keep the tag after the end of the season. I feel like the Senators have their man in their mind already, and they're just waiting for him to become available. And I feel like that's where we're at. But yeah, no. So, the Senators have indeed fired their head coach. So of course we know that's kind of a big deal. Not too much happened outside of that. That is non-football news related. Most of the rest of the news is all football related. So, let's talk about it. First off, DeMonte Casey has been suspended for the rest of the regular season by the league. 3 more games. After his rather egregious hit on Colts receiver... Michael Pittman Jr. Now, for anybody out there that's about to take up the cause and say, oh, that was legal and blah, blah, blah. First off, no, it wasn't, because Pittman couldn't protect himself. So you're not allowed to hit him at all around the head, neck, or shoulder area while he can't protect himself. He was vertical in the air. Now, I know Tom Brady's been going out there saying that quarterbacks should be held responsible too. And he makes a good point. Because then you could just have receivers dive on every play so they can't be tackled. Well, yeah, you could, but then at the moment that they hit the ground, they'd be touched down. So what would be the point in that? Because part of the fun is to catch the ball and then see how far you can run with it. And it also says that if they can't protect themselves, well, even if you're jumping up in the air to catch the ball, you can protect yourself. So, and the defender still has a right to the ball too. So you can still have interceptions that are thrown. You're getting off topic. Also, part of the reason this came through is because this is not the first time Casey has found himself in the middle of controversy for a hit. This is at least the 3rd time that I know of. The very first time he was playing for the Falcons, and he went helmet to helmet on Cam Newton after Newton was in the slide. You had plenty of time to change where you were going. Newton slid with plenty of time. It wasn't like it was, like you didn't know it was coming, and you dove right at him and hit him in the helmet. Knocked him loopy. Then there was the other time when you were playing for Dallas and you hit a tight end coming across the middle, helmet to helmet, and knocked him out of the game. This is your third time making an egregiously bad hit. You have become the Vontaze Burfict of the league. I said after the Cam Newton hit that as far as I was concerned, he should never play football again. Sadly, he has continued to play and has now injured yet another player. At some point in time, someone in his own locker room is going to have to pull him aside and slap the snot out of him. And considering he's currently playing for Pittsburgh, I don't know who it's going to be, but I can guarantee you it's not going to be nice. I have more to say, but I will save it. There is going to be a segment on him a little later. The Colts have suspended 2 players for conduct detrimental to the team. Isaiah McKenzie and Tony Brown. They will be suspended for the final 3 games of the season. The Vikings have announced that they are again, I believe next week, going to start Nick Mullins.
More or less. Not 100% confirmed, but it's more or less going to happen.
Yep. And the Steelers will be changing from Mitch Trubisky to Mason Rudolph.
Oh boy. Such an upgrade.
Such an upgrade. But you know what? If you're going to start a guy over the Christmas holiday that has the name of Rudolph, maybe you can get there. Just got to paint his nose
Probably
red.
Not.
Just got to paint his nose red.
Won't work.
I don't think it's going to work either. And the last little piece of news is that Aaron Rodgers has confirmed that despite feeling better and despite feeling like he's gotten better very quickly, he will not return this season to playing football. And I can't say I disagree with that. It might be a different story if the Jets were fighting for a playoff spot, but they have been eliminated. So the Jets will not make the playoffs this year. And oddly, I'm not sure, I'm sure that plays a factor into what he's thinking at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have a feeling that if he does play, it'll be, for the funsies of it, not because,
Yeah, he went on McAfee, though, and basically said he's not going to be back this season.
No, I don't think so.
Which I think is honestly, for both him and the Jets, I think it's the right thing to do. Call this season a wash, come back next season, and try it again.
Like, there was rumors that he might come back if they would have won that game, but, let's be honest. The chances of them winning that game were pretty fucking low in the first place.
They were. Even though I picked them to win, I just thought that maybe the Dolphins would look past them, and without Hill, and then, everything else, maybe you can spread out a little more and use your defense, and oh boy, did that not work out at all. Mostly because they didn't even finish the game with the quarterback they started with. We'll get to that. In fact, we'll get to that now. So, injuries this week. Let's talk about the season enders first, because there are 3 of them. Keaton Mitchell, running back for the Ravens. ACL, done for the season, obviously. May even bleed into a little bit next season. DJ Reader from the Bengals. He did leave that game against the Vikings on Saturday. They have now confirmed that he has a torn quad. So he will not be back this season. Also, DJ Ivey, who left the game during the Vikings, versus the Vikings. They have confirmed their worst fears that it is an ACL tear, and he will not be back this season. Now, Jamar Chase, who left that game during the Vikings, they have confirmed that it is just a shoulder injury, and they don't think it's serious, but they have him listed currently as day-to-day. So he is questionable for next week. Trevor Lawrence is questionable for next week as he sustained a concussion in the beating that he took. And Zach Wilson, sustained a concussion after wearing the Miami defense like a coat for basically up until he left the game. And those are your major injuries from this week. Did I miss any?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
Ditto here. All right. With that being said, let's dive into week 15, shall we? Oh, one more piece of news, because it's going to be relevant here in a minute. There's a particular coach that I can no longer make fun of. I just can't do it anymore. I'm not allowed to put him in my Dante's Inferno anymore because he's no longer a head coach. The Chargers have fired Tom Telesco, their GM, and head coach Brandon Staley. May he go back to Division III where he belongs. I would have paid for somebody to ask him at his exit interview, at his exit conference, if he was still calling plays for the defense. Because I would have loved to have seen the response from that when he just got all mad like a little baby and walked out. You're picturing it in your head, aren't you?
Nope, I just saw something hilarious, and that's all.
Ah. Well, good enough. But yeah, Brandon Staley, no longer head coach. All it took was the loss they suffered on Thursday. You ready to talk about the loss?
Sure.
Whoop! We have numbers. Wonderful. Ring them in. All right. So the first game was the Thursday night game. It was the Chargers at the Raiders. We both picked the Raiders to win. We were both correct as the Raiders hung 63 points on the Chargers, who put up 21 against the Raiders. This is a week after the Raiders lost a game 3-0 to the Vikings. We need to point that out. A week after they failed to put up any points, they hung 63 points on the Chargers, on what is or should be a somewhat decent defense. Yeah, and that finally cost Brandon Staley his job. Now, people are going to question who's the next head coach, and they're going to point out that this is an attractive job. I don't think this job is as attractive as people think that it is. Does that make sense?
Depends.
So let's point it out. Really, because everybody's saying, oh, you've got great wide receivers and you've got a good quarterback and yada yada. Here's the thing that you really have. You have a franchise quarterback and you have a franchise left tackle, and that's all you really have. Your wide receivers are either aging and getting much older, Keenan Allen, and are now about to be overpaid. Then you've also got Mike Williams, who I think is overpaid for what he produces. Your safety, Derwin James, is a really good safety who's paid like an elite safety. You've got Khalil Mack, who is good but aging. You've got Joey Bosa, who's never lived up to the contract that he has because of injuries. And you don't really have much at the cornerback position. So, and then you've got Eckler, and who knows what you're going to get out of him, because he's been very up and down this year. So you've got money tied up in places where you don't necessarily need it, and you're going to have problems because you don't, you got to look at what they've gotten out of their top draft picks too, which is not much. Quentin Johnson hasn't been good this year. Kenneth Murray hasn't been good, etc., etc., etc. You can go on and on about the mistakes that have been made, but anybody coming in has to clean that up. And there's a lot of money tied up in a lot of places for a lot of years still. And
I disagree with you.
You can disagree all you want, but I'm not entirely incorrect. On
I
paper,
think you kind of are, and I'll tell you why. Because
on paper, it looks good.
No, here, let me explain.
Go ahead.
So, as a head coach, you get everything you want here. You get a franchise QB, you don't have to worry about getting another one, and you can build the team around him in any way you want because you know you're going to move off of some wide receivers, you know you're going to move off of some defense. You can build the team exactly how you want, which there are head coaches that love that shit. You got to make sure you get the right head coach, obviously, but there are head coaches who die for that kind of shit because you get a franchise QB who is a Super Bowl contender. There's no questions he's got the ability to do it. And Quentin Johnson, while he hasn't been utilized very much, I blame that on incredibly terrible play calling and just bad coaching management because he's had 2 good games now where he's proven he can still do it, and you just have to give him the out for fucking 2 entities. Keenan Allen is still going to be good next year. He'll be good for another 2 to 3 years minimum. Williams you can move off of. You can get somebody in the draft easily enough. Eckler you can move off of. You can get somebody in the draft easily enough. Like, and they're going to still, and those players are still going to easily be there this draft simply due to the fact that there are so many teams who are going to be trying to pick up quarterbacks instead in the early on. So you're going to get good wide receivers. You're going to have good running backs for you. On top of that, defensively, I don't think they're actually as bad as you claim. I think their cornerbacks are okay. They're not great, but they're okay. They got a pretty decent safety room. And while Bosa has unfortunately been injured, when he is on the field, he plays well. They just need to beef up a little bit of that defensive line a little bit, beef up the O line a little bit, get 1 or 2 more wide receivers, get another good running back. Listen, this is a team that 1 to 2 years instant turnaround, not even a question. And for a head coach, especially one that wants to come in and have already a franchise QB there for him, because that's the biggest problem for almost every single head coach, is coming into a system where you don't know who your QB is going to be in, especially following next year. Head coaches hate doing that, and the only times that they're okay with that is when they think they can draft the player they want. In this case, they don't have to worry about the hardest position in the game. Everything else becomes a cakewalk. Trust me, this is a really good position for a lot of coaches. So there is going to be some coaches you would definitely not want to put here. Like, do not bring in like a college coach. College coach here would be terrible. You need to pick up a coach who's been there, done that. You know, a Brian Flores. As much as I would not want to lose a defensive coordinator, would be an excellent pick here. There are other coaches. Heck, I could see. I don't know, as much as it'd be hilarious, but Frank Reich actually would not have a bad time in this system already. The problem is, I think Frank Reich has had enough of the NFL. Poor bastard.
For the moment, yes.
But my point is that, like, this is a very good setup for a offensive-minded head coach. I'll put it that way. I think an offensive-minded head coach has everything they want here to start out with and can draft players to replace some of the aging talent that they do have pretty easily enough.
That's a possibility, but not entirely. For example, Keenan Allen still has another year on his deal.
Yeah. He's still going to be great next year. He'll be great for another 2 to 3 years.
Yes, but it's got 1 more year, and his cap hit is $34 million.
Yeah,
next year.
That's fine. You're going to move off of Eckler, and you're probably going to move off of Williams, or yeah, probably.
Williams still has another year on his deal.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. You'll end up re-signing Allen. You're going to move off of Williams and Eckler, and you're going to end up drafting people to sit behind them this year, or possibly to replace
Allen is going to be
take over this year.
32 next year. Williams is going to be 30.
Yeah.
And if you he's only got 1 year left, but he's also
Heck, you might even try to flip him.
That's a possibility, but where he's been so injured, you might not be able to. And next year he's scheduled to be a $12 million cap hit. Or
yeah,
no, pardon,
nowadays that's
$32 million cap hit.
Nowadays, it's not that hard to. Well, anybody that wants him will end up restructuring the contract. Everyone knows that's. Heck, even if the Chargers keep him, that contract's going to get restructured. That's just the way that works.
More than likely, yes.
They'll never take on that huge cap hit. But I think flipping him, he's a good enough second wide receiver that somebody will pay for him. Heck, I could see the Panthers paying for him because they desperately need wide receivers. You know, like. Teams that desperately need wide receivers that are just okay talent will absolutely pay extra for that.
And now you got Joey Bosa, who's cap hit balloons to 36 million next year.
Yeah,
And
they'll
then
restructure his contract and keep him on because he's one of those guys that's just he's kind of like the J.J. Watt, right? Like he's known for playing in that team, on that team. He'll restructure his contract and he'll stay on that team. Like
you're
I'd be
losing Michael Davis at cornerback, Derwin James. Derwin James is a pretty good safety.
yeah.
Unfortunately, his cap hit next year is this year it's 9 million, which isn't bad. That's about in line with what his cap hit ought to be for what he gives you. 9, 10, maybe 11 million. You know what I mean? His cap hit next year is 19 and a half or 19.8. The
Again,
year
you
after
gotta
that
remember
is
that
20,
they're gonna give him
23.8, and
they'll
then
re-
it's 24.6.
yeah, all that stuff gets restructured though. You know how that shit works.
It's
They never
potential, yes, but I'm just saying then you've missed on a bunch of draft picks, and if Johnson never does come around, you missed on a whole bunch in a row.
he's already had 3 good games. I don't think that's gonna be a problem for him.
I don't
And
think
by
so
good
either, but I'm just saying
like
that
he's obviously not the wide receiver 1 you were hoping for, but he's easily a wide receiver 2 or 3.
yeah.
Like
And here's the deal. I think overall that
you gotta remember draft players cost almost nothing. So
they're
bringing
magic
on
beans.
talent, yeah, to bring in talent to replace Eckler or to replace Williams or to replace anybody on their defense isn't going to cost them much of anything. And that's what
Now,
I'm saying. As a head coach, you're in a position where you don't have to try to trade for players or try to make something magical happen. You just gotta make some good decisions in the draft, and all of a sudden you got a team within 1 to 2 years.
I'm not
Like,
saying that you're wrong, but what I will say for some of this is that it isn't as cushy as some people are painting it. There is work to be done. You're going to have to
yeah,
make some
I mean,
decisions with some contracts and try to figure
I'll
out
say
what you're going to do.
when I say cushy, or when people say cushy, they just mean that you're not getting a bottom of the barrel fucking team, right?
No, you're
You're
not.
not getting the Bears, you're not getting the Panthers, you're not getting Houston from last year, right? You're getting basically a what I would equate to as a running car. Like you're rather than having to fix up and build up your own fucking car, at least you have a car that's got a heater. Like,
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing.
you know,
The running car that you've got, the tires are starting to come off a little bit, so you know you're going to need to replace them.
oh yeah, it's a beater car. You'll have to do some fixing up, but at least it runs.
Yes,
Like,
and so,
like
but
in comparison to the Panthers, that's a car that has a body and wheels. Engine is debatable.
another gig that you could look at and say, "Oh, that's cushy," is any gig where they have like multiple picks in the first round. You
Yeah.
know they're going into a rebuild. You absolutely know that you're not
Some people call
expected.
those. See, the thing is, I don't know if I necessarily agree that those are necessarily cushy because that puts a lot of pressure on you for potentially having to find your franchise QB. And if you end up busting on a franchise QB, we've seen it dozens of times. Your job's done.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
you're
I
fired.
don't disagree with that.
So
but
in
there
this
are
case,
there
I
are
find
enough
having
coaches out there who would prefer to try to
yeah.
find their.
Sometimes, but I, as a head coach, I know a lot will be like, they'll only grab their guy if they think the current guy ain't it. There is not a single head coach that'll look at Justin Herbert and go, that guy's not it.
No,
Like,
there isn't. They would be
so
very happy to be able to work with him, but you now know
yeah,
that whoever you find at this point of your management, you actually have to find a GM that's willing to listen at least to Herbert because you know
yeah,
that that's your guy, and he's got to find a coach that he's comfortable with.
yeah.
So speaking on it, Easton Stick, still love that name. 23 of 32, 257 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. Not horrible if
How
your
many fumbles did
defense.
he have?
Huh?
How many
I
fumbles
don't
did he have?
even. Let's take a look. I have no idea at the moment. Probably
Because
several.
you make it sound better, but I remember he dropped at least 2 fumbles.
2. He only had 2.
So he had 3 turnovers just himself.
Yeah, but they overall had 5 fumbles. So you know.
Yeah, exactly. My point. That's what I'm saying.
I also did want to point out. Their top rusher was Isaiah Spiller, who carried
Nice.
16 times for 50 yards, because Austin Eckler rushed 5 times for 9 yards. Huh?
They didn't use him much.
They didn't. I don't know what was up with him. He also caught 4 passes for 29 yards, but the guy that caught the most passes, 4 receptions, 113 yards and a touchdown, Josh Palmer. Quentin Johnson also caught a touchdown, but he only caught balls for 23 yards.
Yeah.
2 of them.
He's one of those fun prospects in the way of he's really fast, and if he breaks from his guy, you can easily throw him a ball and he'll get it.
He's also 6'4". He's gigantic.
I was going to say the best part about him is that he's just gigantic. So even if he's not utilized for his speed, because he should be, but if you don't, he's the big body guy that short passes into the end zone. He'll get those, man.
Have him put on another 10, 15 pounds worth of muscle and let him play a slot or an over-the-middle type of guy who just goes in there and bangs and crashes, because at 230 pounds, 6'4", that's a big beast.
That's what I was going to say. That he should be
he's almost a tight end at that point.
Make him the end zone target, because frankly, like, you can throw the ball nearly 5 yards above his head and he'll still be able to jump and catch that shit. Like,
I was going to say, make him kind of like Terrell Owens.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Bigger guy who just, he out-bodies you to get the ball, and he's got some breakaway speed if he gets some steps on you. Exactly. Now, on the other side, Aiden O'Connell, 20-34, 248 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Yeah. The reason why it doesn't look as good is just because, like, they had a lot of short territory when they got touchdowns. Like, there's 2 of them where they had short fields.
Zamir White, 17 carries, 69 yards and a touchdown. Devontae Adam, 8 receptions, 101 yards and a touchdown. Yeah. I think they did a passable job. Aiden O'Connell does look like he could be the man in Las Vegas.
Maybe. I'm not convinced that he should be a full-time starter yet, but at least not like a high caliber one anyways. Like,
I think
he's definitely mid-tier, right?
If they finish him out for the season,
above average kind of thing.
Yes, and if they finish up the season with him, I think that even if they bring in another quarterback as a free agent, or they trade for one, he should be given the chance to compete. Because I think, I want to see if he can improve in the offseason, because he's still a rookie. So I'd like to see if he has the chance to improve in the offseason, because that's a possibility. Now, let's talk about a heartbreaking game, shall we?
I mean, I guess.
First game of Saturday, Vikings at Bengals. We both picked the Bengals, I believe, and we were both correct. Is the Bengals do win that 27-24. Do you want me to go over stats, or do we want to talk thoughts first?
Doesn't really matter which way we go.
All right, let's do some stats first, and then we'll talk some thoughts, because I think we have some thoughts on a play late in the game that we're both relatively upset with. So, Nick Mullins, 26 of 33, 303 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Ty Chandler, 23 carries, 132 yards, and a touchdown. Did he bite you?
He did.
Asshole. Jordan Addison, 6 receptions, 111 yards, and 2 touchdowns. On the other side, Browning, 29 of 42, 324 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Mixon, 10 carries, 47 yards, and a touchdown. Jamar Chase, 4 receptions, 64 yards. Of course, then you also had Higgins, who had 4 catches for 61 and 2 touchdowns. So the reason why I think we're upset is that late in the game, the Vikings ran a quarterback sneak, 3 times in a row? Twice in a row? And they ran the same play twice in a row and couldn't pick up the first down. And acted all surprised about it. And it wasn't even that they tried a variation of the play. They ran the exact same sneak twice in a row. And it was quite obvious the first time that that the Bengals were ready for it. So I don't know what KOC was thinking. And they asked him about it later on, and he said something to the effect of, it was too risky to hand it off. Dude, Chandler had been running over that defense all day. Why not get him a couple of yards? Why not let him get you a yard? He can do it.
Fine, don't hand the ball off. Fake it. They clearly had a defense that was prepared for a handoff.
Fake it and throw a short slant.
Do a fake for a short slant. I promise you, no one would have expected it.
They could have done anything else, but instead,
Hell, they could have gone for the kick. Yeah, it was a 59-yard kick. It's a long yardage. Guess
Joseph might have made it.
That's what he's good at. He's good at the longer kicks. Give him the chance. Like, I don't understand running the same play twice. I don't... Like, it wasn't the reason we lost, because, frankly, there were 2 times where we gave up the ball in the red zone, which could have also completely changed the outcome of this game. But the fact that you were given the opportunity to literally win the game because your defense stuffed them 3 and out right off the bat in OT, like, the play calling at the end was just kind of shit.
You're talking about those 2 picks that Mullins threw.
Yes. So I can't place all the blame on KOC, obviously, because, frankly, the 2 picks changed that entire game. At the same time, what the fuck were those play calls? Now, I will say he's normally done a very good job, so the fact that somehow Fire KOC was fucking trending is absolutely ridiculous.
It's been, and that's the other thing I want to talk about. That's been trending for quite some period of time. In fact, I saw it at the beginning of the season when we started really crappily.
It's so toxic. It's such a toxic mentality because, frankly, like, they then bounced back. Everyone was fine and everyone was dandy. And then all of a sudden they started having issues because Kirk Cousins got injured. Like, what the fuck are you supposed to do with that? He's doing the best he can with what he's given. Like, God, I hate bandwagon fans, but what I hate more is fans that will turn on a fucking dime like this. It is absolutely disgusting and disgraceful.
Exactly. And here's the thing. The dude's this is what, his 3rd season?
Second,
yeah.
Second season.
He took us to the playoffs last year, guys. He has the largest comeback in NFL history underneath his belt. This is his 2nd season. My rule of thumb is you have to give a coach at least 4 seasons.
Like, I mean, you should at least give your coach a couple, unless it's really obvious he ain't gonna do it. But, like,
I mean, Frank Reich, that one in Carolina, I think that one was done.
I don't think that was Frank Reich's fault, but
it wasn't. Different. I agree with you 100%.
That's a different issue altogether.
That is a different issue altogether. But again, I 100% agree that wasn't Frank Reich's fault, but it was obvious he wasn't working there. And then the guys in Texan, they were coaching the Texans prior to their current coach,
DeMarco Ryans.
Yeah, DeMarco Ryans. They had 2 guys in a row that were coaching the Texans. Both of them probably knew it was a 1-year gig. They were both going to suck, and they knew it. 100% they knew it. Because all the Texans were doing was trying to wait for a big name to come available. And when DeMarco Ryans came available, that was their guy, and everybody knew it. Lovie Smith knew that he was a dead man walking. Everybody knew it. Top down.
Yeah. This is one of those things where I'm watching people get so just, the whole idea that KOC's quote unquote the problem is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Like, moving off Cook clearly was the right decision. Everyone lambasted him for that, even though it wasn't even necessarily his decision. The whole beginning of the season went a little bad, but if you go back and watch those games, they weren't because he did anything wrong. The games were just like losing on a tight rope edge kind of thing. Like, they were still games that should have been winnable.
And the people on the field were flubbing the ball and turning it over more than they should.
On top of that, the defense was obviously not ready yet. Then
which
all of
they
a
have
sudden,
definitely gotten ready.
exactly, I was gonna say, all of a sudden, a couple games later, all of a sudden, offense is cooking, defense finally starts kicking in, and Kirk Cousins gets injured. Like,
And
I
don't forget we lost JJ for
oh
a
yeah,
significant
JJ
time
got
of the
injured
season.
too. Like, it's one of those things where like, I don't, I have no idea, and I don't understand why anyone would actually think KLC should get fired. Like, remember how long we stuck with Zimmer? Like, and people defended the shit out of him for how long? And now you're all of a sudden willing to just throw KOC to the fucking wolves out in year 2? Fuck
I
off.
think it's because we've gotten to this position now where we as fans a lot of times are expecting some sort of instant gratification. And if you aren't in Super Bowl contention every year, then you need to be fired. And I think that's just dumb because only so many teams can be.
Yeah.
And every team has its highs and lows, and you're never going to be high all the time. The Patriots did it longer than anybody else, and even now everybody's like, Bill's done.
Yeah.
And everybody knows Bill's done. Bill's going to retire and ride off into the sunset, or he's going to go coach whatever team he wants to because they're going to throw so much. They're going to back a Brinks truck up to his house and go, "What do you want?" That's what's going to happen. I don't know if it'll sway him. I don't know if he has any interest to coach anymore. And he might just to prove that he can still do it with a team that is halfway decent. I am unsure, but I know that KOC is not the issue. Adolfo Mensa is not the issue. In reality, everybody will say they've had 2 drafts. They've had 1 because they didn't come in far enough ahead of the first draft for me to think that they really had time to look over scouting and know what they were doing.
Even then, I don't think they made bad picks in that first draft, anyways. I don't
Everybody's
know why
mad
anyone.
because they traded back with Detroit.
That's yeah, they did, and because they decided they wanted more picks, and frankly, I don't know what they would have picked at the spot that they picked at, but I think they made fine
Hamilton.
picks with what they did get. Huh?
Kyle Hamilton.
No, I'm saying we don't know what they would have picked.
Well,
if
that's
they
what they
hadn't traded.
should have picked. Safety from Notre Dame. He's a big-time safety in the Ravens now. And instead, I think we went with Lewis Seen.
Who's been fine
He's been fine,
outside of injuries. Like he's been.
He's
fine.
definitely not been Hamilton though. Anyway, that's neither.
Don't even know if that would. The thing is,
we don't even know how that would have worked
been,
in Minnesota. Exactly. Yeah. So trying to say that, oh, blah 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 blah, we don't know. All right, it could be the defensive system in Baltimore because they've always had really good defenses.
All I'm saying is that I don't think they've made any picks that universally everyone looks at and goes, "Yeah, that was a bad pick." Like,
I mean, there have been a couple that I've questioned, but
I mean, there are some that are questionable. But at the time when they made the picks, people were going, "Oh, okay, I can see how that would work out." It's not like they made a pick that everyone went, "What?" And then now look at it and go, yeah, obviously that was a bad pick. They're the reasons
that we have one of the best tight ends in fucking football at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
So, very happy for that.
Though he's been unfortunately a little quiet, but
yeah.
Obviously that's not necessarily his fault either.
No, not necessarily his fault. All right, moving right along though. Steelers at Colts. I picked the Steelers. You picked the Colts. I got lambasted as the Colts win 30-13. Trubisky, 16 of 23, 169 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Warren, 10 carries, 40 yards. Deontay Johnson, 4 receptions, 62 yards, and a touchdown. Gardner Minshew, 18 of 28, 215 yards, 3 touchdowns. Sermon, 17 carries, 88 yards. Pittman Jr., before he went out, 4 for 78. By the way, he is in concussion protocol. Yeah, outside of that hit, the rest of this game was all Colts and kind of fun to watch. But that one hit kind of put a damper on the whole proceedings, and it was particularly nasty. I'm not going to show it here. I could probably drop in pictures, but I'm not going to show all those hits. If anybody wants to go and look those up, look up all the hits KZ has had. that have been questionable, and you will find out. They're saying he's not a dirty player. I disagree. I think he's a filthy player. I dislike him. I've never met him, but I'm instantly disposed to dislike him. So, next. Do you have any other thoughts on that?
No.
Broncos at Lions. We both picked the Broncos because we thought the Lions were fading, and boy, were we wrong. Lions win 42-17, making the Vikings all that much more difficult. The Vikings have to win out, and the Lions have to lose at least one game. In order for the Vikings to take the conference. Russell Wilson, 18 of 32, 233 and a touchdown, and boy howdy did Sean Payton light into him on the sidelines about something at one point. I don't know what it was, but he was hot. Russell, for his part, just kind of stood there and kind of looked like, yeah, whatever, Dad.
Like I said, Sean Payton's an asshole, so I don't really care.
Sam J. Perrine, 6 carries, 37 yards. Jerry Jeudy, 3 catches, 74 yards. On the other hand, Jared Goff, whom you benched this week, 24 of 34, 278 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Gibbs, 11 carries, 100 yards, and a touchdown. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 7 catches, 112 yards, and a touchdown. Also, Sam Laporta had a couple of touchdowns. So, you know, the Lions and Titans from Iowa. It looks like the Lions may just get the second overall seed in the NFC. And now we have Loki in one of his favorite spots. So it looks like the Lions are going to get the second overall seed. What do you think about that?
We'll see.
Moving right along. Jets at Dolphins. I took the Jets. You took the Dolphins. I was obviously wrong. Dolphins squish the Jets and eliminate them from the playoffs. 30-0. Simeon, 14 of 26, 110 yards and 2 picks. Hall, 6 carries, 12 yards. That's not getting it done, dude. Gibson, 2 receptions, 29 yards. Yeah, this whole... I don't know what's going on with the Jets. They look like they've given up. Tua, 21 of 24, 224 and a touchdown. Mostert, 15 carries, 42 yards, 2 touchdowns. Waddle, 8 receptions, 142 yards and a touchdown. Yeah, Miami just went out and lambasted the Jets from pillar to post the entire game. I think the Jets have given up. I don't think they have any fight left.
I mean, they are out of the playoffs now, so.
They are out of the playoffs. You are correct about that. Sorry, I forgot to put that one in. Because it was the overtime game. Moving right along, Texans at Titans. We assumed without C.J. Stroud that Houston would turn to David Longneck Mills, and they did not. They turned to Houston Cougar alumni and author of the Minneapolis Miracle, Case Keenum. We both picked the Titans, and we were both wrong. Houston wins in overtime, 19-16. Keenum, 23 of 36, 229, a touchdown and a pick. Singletary, 26 carries, 121 yards. And Noah Brown, 8 receptions, 82 yards and a touchdown. Levis, 17 of 26, 199 and a pick. Tyjae Spears leads the way in carries, 9 for 30. And Treylon Burks, 3 for 62 in receptions. I also want to point out, Derrick Henry, 16 carries, 9 yards. And Henry is on record as saying that he is thinking about his future and whether or not it is with the Titans, as he is, I believe, a free agent at the end of this season.
I thought they re-signed him last season, but no, maybe not. Because I heard that there was trade rumors. I thought there was trade rumors last season, and then they didn't trade him, and then they extended him, but maybe they didn't do that.
Derrick Henry's contract. Nope, this is his last season. They did not give him an extension. He is a free agent. Sadly, he is turning 30. And backs that have his running style start to go downhill about now. So I don't know if signing him to a big long-term deal is something any team wants to hitch their wagon to at this point in time. You might get a season or two out of him, but he's going to start, more than likely, the odds say he's going to start declining rapidly now. So you're going to get another couple of seasons out of him maybe, but I don't think they're going to be as good as the ones he's had. Unless you have a brutally effective offensive line. If you have that, maybe you take a shot on him. You know what I mean? But if not, yeah, no, he's a power runner. He hits a lot of people, and his body's going to start wearing down. So you have to take that into account. Anybody who's offering him money, you can't sell the farm for him. At least that's my feeling. Moving right along. Bucks at Packers. You picked the Bucks. I picked the Packers. I have never been more happy to be wrong. Bucks win 34-20 and just lambast the Packers with Baker Mayfield. Baker, 22 of 28, 381 yards and 4 touchdowns. They made Baker look like Brady. Rashad White, 21 carries, 89 yards. Godwin, 10 receptions, 155 yards. Love, 29 of 39, 284 and 2 touchdowns. Aaron Jones, 13 carries, 53 yards. Dontavian Wicks, 6 receptions, 97 yards. Okay, Love looked passable, but he is not the difference maker.
No.
Baker looked like a difference maker out there. He's a gunslinger, and he went out and he slung that ball around, and he willed Tampa Bay to that win, keeping them alive in the NFC South. I think they're still the division leaders in the NFC South, aren't they?
I have no idea.
It's either them or New Orleans. Somebody's going to win that division. I don't know who it's going to be. But the Bucks are putting together some good numbers here at the end of the season, and here's the thing that they have to worry about. This isn't just oh my God, what's his name? Their big wide receiver from A&M. I can see him in my head with all the tattoos, and I cannot think of his name. You're going to let me flap on this, aren't you?
Maybe.
Asshole. Evans. I had to look. I was still in the right screen to do that. This isn't just Evans last season. Without a contract. They only signed Baker to a 1-year deal. So they have to re-sign. If they want to, I think they have to re-sign both Baker and Evans and just figure the rest out after that. I think that's something that has to happen, in my opinion. You have any thoughts on that?
Nope.
Okay. Moving along, then. Giants at Saints. We both picked the Giants and Tommy DeVito, but there wasn't a whole lot of that this week.
There was not a whole lot of DeVito.
There was not. Saints win 24-6. DeVito gets knocked out of the game. He still goes 20 of 34 for 177. Also 4 carries for 36 yards. Slayton, 4 receptions for 63. Derek Carr, on the other hand, 23 of 28 for 218 and 3 touchdowns. Kamara, 16 carries, 66 yards, and 5 receptions for 44 yards. Jimmy Graham also caught yet another touchdown pass, so that's always fun. Yeah, this was a very interesting game in that the Giants couldn't get anything going. The Saints defense was all over them like a pack of rabid dogs, man. Very interesting, I think, to see the Saints defense swarm like that. The Saints are odd in that they have a good defense when they want to have a good defense. You know what I mean? Like, you never know what Saints defense is going to show up. If it's the really tough, mean Saints defense, you're in for a long day. If it's the pushover defense, well, there you go. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Falcons at Panthers. We both picked the Falcons. Surprise! We're both wrong. Panthers win their second game this season. 9-7. Fire Arthur Smith into the sun.
Funnily enough, I had, so on my fantasy, one of our guys chatted in the chat and simply said, I hope the football terrorist known as Arthur Smith never gets another coaching job. So, there you go.
So, at least I'm not the only one. Look, I've been riding the Fire Brandon Staley into the Sun train, and before that, I was on the Fire Josh McDaniels into the Sun train. All right? I'm not going to take personal credit for it, but between you and me, we've gotten 2 coaches fired. We've helped to get 2 coaches fired.
Potentially a third coming.
With Arthur Smith.
Well, I was going to say Bill Belichick, but you know.
Well, we already know that it sounds like the Patriots have chosen to part ways with him at the end of the season.
Supposedly.
Which,
apparently that rumor has also been rumored as being false, but yet it could still be true, so it's kind of weird how that works.
It's the Patriots. So, Desmond Ridder, 12 of 20, 152, a touchdown and a pick. Algiers, 14 carries, 45 yards. Jonnu Smith, 2 receptions, 61 yards. What the fuck is this offense?
It's not an offense, I would say. It's
not.
so weird because, like, they'll have weeks where they do really well, and then they'll have weeks like this, and you go, what happened? What happened?
Exactly. Mike Smith is the most maddeningly inconsistent coach of all time. Not of all time, but he's got to be up there. Bryce Young, 18 of 24, 167. Chuba Hubbard, 22 carries, 87 yards. Thielen, 4 receptions, 43 yards. I'm not going to go in on Young. That was a okay game. You won. So you didn't turn it over and screw it up. That's the best I'm going to give you, though.
Mm-hmm.
Because you didn't look like you were going to win it there for a little bit. Now, moving along. Bears at Browns. I picked the Bears. You picked the Browns. I lose, barely, 20-17. I will say that starting the game, Justin Fields looked really good. He moved well. He threw the ball well. He escaped the pocket well. He found people downfield. And their defense looked really mean. Fields, however, 19 of 40. For 166, a touchdown, and 2 picks. Roshan Johnson, 5 carries, 36 yards. DJ Moore, 4 receptions, 52 yards. Flacco, 28 of 44, 374, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks. Not so good.
Not great.
Ford, 8 carries, 20 yards. Cooper, 4 receptions, 109 yards, and a touchdown. Look, it's an Amari Cooper sighting. Amari Cooper. Haven't seen him much this year. Also,
He's still alive and breathing.
that makes Cleveland 9-5 with 4 different starting quarterbacks this season and losing their starting primo running back, week 1? Is that when Chubb went out? Was it week 1 or 2?
No, I think it was like 3, but yeah, it was pretty early on.
So, to me, there are 2 coaches in the running for Coach of the Year. One of them is Dan Bite Your Kneecaps Off Campbell. And the other should be Kevin Stefanski.
I mean,
You could throw D'Amico Ryans in there if you wanted to as well.
D'Amico Ryans, I think Mike McDaniel deserves a shout out too for the fact that like they're just consistently winning games.
Oh,
Come on. I was gonna say the
Fins.
only other McDaniel that's actually there.
I had to think about it from the Fins. Yeah, but look at the talent the Fins have and how consistent they've been this season in keeping
Yeah,
their
but at
talent
the same
on the field.
time, you have to give credit to the fact that he's not fucked it up like so many coaches would.
You got a point there, but that's probably unfortunate. That's why he probably won't win it.
I know, but I
'cause
think
if you
he
go,
should-
if you
I'll
go
put
by
it this way. I think the closest that I can give you an example as to why he should. Remember Tua before McDaniel. Remember what Tua is now after McDaniel. It's night and day that he's changed that quarterback to be considered a top 10 quarterback.
also then should throw in Kyle Shanahan.
That too. But Kyle Shanahan unfortunately has the problem of, but look at how good your team is, like more so than even the
I
Fins.
understand, but do you think Brock Purdy is going to flourish under anyone else?
Do you think Brock Purdy would be as good if he didn't have the talent around him?
That is the question, though. Look at what he's gotten out of Ayuk and Debo and McCaffrey and Purdy and Kittle.
Defense. I was gonna say the entire defense.
Yeah. Mostly
saying,
that defensive line, let's be honest, and their linebackers.
Oh,
Their
that defensive
secondary
line's
is
nasty as fuck.
decent, but it's all...
I know, but my point is that like Brandon Ayuk is a star player. He always was considered to be a big timer. Christian McCaffrey's always been considered a big star. Debo Samuel was always considered a guy that if you got him working was going to be a big guy. Like,
Yeah.
obviously he found a way to make it all work. I'm not disagreeing with you on that, but at the same time, it's the same argument than if you're gonna with Mike McDaniel, where it's like you look at it, and you go, man,
No,
obviously
exactly.
he's gonna,
Which is
he's
why
gonna
I'm
succeed.
saying
He's
if you're
got so
throwing-
much star-studded.
If you're going to throw McDaniel in there, then you really should throw Shanahan in there just because.
I think the difference is McDaniel has the way I'll put it is there was a proven track record of Tua being questionable and then getting significantly better with McDaniel, where Brock Purdy we've never seen him outside of Shanahan, so we don't know if he actually ends up. We don't know if he's actually a Tom Brady-esque, where actually he's just really good and people just didn't know it.
Okay, you've got a point.
That's
on
all I'm
that.
arguing.
But yeah, no, I think the 2 top contenders are probably Dan Campbell and Kevin Stefanski, in my opinion. McDaniel will be in the conversation, as should D'Amico Ryans for what he's done with Houston.
Oh yeah, and the fact that they still win games despite all the injuries they've been dealing with is.
Oh, yeah.
It just tells you that the players love to play for that guy.
That's what I'm thinking about Stefanski. Look at all the talent they lost, and yet here they are with Joe Flacco still winning games.
Yeah.
And that's just a miracle in and of itself. Like, Joe Flacco has thrown for, like, in 3 games, he's thrown for something like over 1,000 yards or close to 1,000 yards, like 900 some odd yards.
I mean, the difference for them, though, is that their defense has really been working. So the funny thing is, knowing Stefanski as we know him to be more offensive minded, we kind of have to give more props to that defensive coordinator, I think, to be honest with you. Their
You're not
defensive coaches
incorrect,
must
but
be
yeah.
going ham.
They are a really good team, and they are a lot better, I think, than anybody thought they were going to be this season.
Yeah.
All right. Moving along, Chiefs-Patriots. We both picked the Chiefs. I didn't know if it was going to happen there for a little bit, but we were both correct.
I was going to say the first quarter was a bit ugly, but after that, the Chiefs turned it back on.
The first half was really ugly.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'd say mostly the first quarter because the Patriots didn't score much after that. But
the Patriots didn't score at all in the first quarter. They
I
didn't.
thought they did.
Nope, second quarter.
Hmm.
Rashee Rice got a 4-yard pass from Jerick McKinnon in the first quarter. The second quarter was
Shows you
Hunter
how boring the
Henry,
game was if I can't fucking remember.
Hunter Henry from Bailey Zappi, and then Chad Ryland kicked a field goal, and they were up 10-7 until 35 seconds left to go when McKinnon got a pass from Mahomes to go into halftime with the lead. Then the Chiefs turned it on in the second half, and it was all Chiefs. But the Chiefs do win 27-17. Mahomes 27-37, 305 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Definitely not his best game. Clyde Edwards-Helaire 13 carries, 37 yards. Rashee Rice 9 receptions, 91 yards, and a touchdown. I feel like he's become Mahomes' new wide receiver target. Like, that's somebody that Mahomes has built a connection with now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they still need wide receivers though.
Oh, yeah, they do. But I feel like Rice is now, like, the top wide receiver there.
At the moment, yeah.
Zappi, 23 of 31, 180 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Harris, 4 carries, 25 yards and a touchdown. Henry, 7 catches, 66 yards and a touchdown. And yet another loss for Bill Belichick. I don't know that we have anything else to say on that game. It was very boring. On the opposite side of boring was a game that got out of hand quick and never really got in hand for one team. But for the other team, was completely and utter domination for most of the game. San Francisco at Arizona, Niners at Cardinals. We both picked the Niners to win, and we were both right. Niners crushed the Cardinals 45-29. It was dicey a little bit in the first half as the Cardinals actually came within a point. But, you know, right before halftime, Christian McCaffrey. Don't need to say more than run CMC, right?
More or less.
So Purdy, 16 of 25, 242 and 4 touchdowns. McCaffrey, 18 carries, 115 yards and a touchdown. 5 receptions, 72 yards and 2 touchdowns. McCaffrey had himself a game. Murray, 26 of 39, 211, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Connor, 14 carries, 86 yards and a touchdown. And Trey McBride, 10 receptions, 102 yards. Not bad for Trey McBride. I'm pretty happy with that for him. Murray needs to do a little bit better. I am still very interested in seeing what he can do with a full, healthy offseason under Gannon. That's the guy's name, right? John Gannon or something? The head coach of the Cardinals. It's like John Gannon or something.
Jonathan Gannon, yeah.
Yeah. I'm very interested to see what he can do with a full season under Jonathan Gannon. Where you know, he can get an off season where he's healthy, you know what I mean? I'd like to see how that comes around. All right. Commanders at Rams. We both picked the Rams, I think. If I didn't, I'm really dumb. We did. Rams do win, but it's closer than I thought it was going to be. 28-20. Brissett, 8 of 10 for 124 yards and 2 touchdowns as they sat down Howell. Rodriguez Jr., 10 carries, 35 yards. Hey, look! Terry McLaurin is back. 6 receptions, 141 yards, and a touchdown. Yeah, that's the first time we've seen Scary Terry for a while. We haven't really seen much from him in the past several weeks.
Yeah, I was kind of happy about that he finally did something.
It sounds like it, because you were a little upset about that, I think.
Yeah, well, I needed him on my roster since I had no one else that could play wide receiver. So
glad it worked out for you. Stafford, 25 of 33, 258 and 2 touchdowns. Kyron Williams, 27 carries, 152 yards, and a touchdown. You have him, don't you? Kyron Williams?
Yep.
So that game had to make you happy.
Yep. Overall, most of my team actually did pretty well. I won my first playoff game, so we're going into the second. See how that goes.
Yeah, I'm leading. We do 2-week playoff runs.
We have,
Yeah. So each game is 2 weeks.
yeah, we didn't because we have so many players. So
No, and that makes sense. So, but ours is a little smaller, so we're doing 2-week runs. But I am currently leading. I would be leading even more if I'd started both Addison and Higgins, which I didn't. But I did start McCaffrey, who went off. Also, Cooper Kupp, 8 receptions, 111 yards, and a touchdown. And the Rams are now 7-7, and I think still in play for a playoff position. Now, this game. Cowboys at Bills, and with the way the Bills had been playing, I figured the Cowboys, and you figured the same, would come along and quash them. We were both wrong. Bills win 31-10. Wah, wah, wah. Prescott, 21 of 34, 134 yards and a pick. Pollard, 11 carries, 52 yards. Lamb, 7 catches, 53 yards. Allen, 7 of 15, 94 yards and a touchdown. Why? Because the Cowboys got cooked. James cooked. 25 carries, 179 yards, and a touchdown. Holy crap. Diggs, 4 receptions, 48 yards. Yeah, if Cook can start doing that consistently, right?
Unfortunately.
The Bill, he doesn't do it consistently, but if he can start doing that consistently, the Bills are going to make a lot of noise. All right. Ravens at Jags. We, I believe, both picked the Ravens. We did. We were both correct. Ravens win 23-7. Jackson, 14 of 24, 171 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Also, Jackson, 12 carries, 97 yards. Isaiah Likely, 5 receptions, 70 yards, and a touchdown. I like that name. Lawrence, before he went out, 25 of 43, 264 and a touchdown. Also 4 carries, 41 yards. And Agnew, 2 catches, 70 yards, and a touchdown. Surprisingly, Jacksonville is still leading the AFC South despite that loss, although that division is now much, much tighter. Houston, I think... I don't know if they still have a shot at it or not. But the final 3 games for the Jaguars are Bucks, Panthers, Titans. So we'll have to see how that all shakes out for them. Then the final game of the week, Eagles at Seahawks. We both picked the Eagles. We were both wrong. Seahawks beat the Eagles on a crazy final play, 20-17. The crazy final play was that Jalen Hurts got picked. And before that, Drew Lock threw a 29-yard dart to Jackson Smith-Njigba. And I do mean a dart. That was a brilliant pass. Look, Drew Lock sitting on the bench, maybe not the worst thing for him. He looks like a competent quarterback these past couple of games. I'd like to see more out of him, but I'm not mad. Hurts, 17 of 31, 143 and 2 picks, 13 carries, 82 yards, 2 touchdowns. A.J. Brown, 5 receptions, 56 yards. Locke, 22 of 33, 208 and a touchdown. Walker the third, 19 carries, 86 yards and a touchdown. DK Metcalf, 5 receptions, 78 yards. If they decide to ever part ways with Geno Smith, I think Drew Lock is a potential starter for them. He may never be more than a backup, but what I've seen so far, he's got potential. You know what I mean? All right. That was week 15. You ready for week 16?
I guess.
Me too. I have no idea what the hell's going on anymore. All right, week 16. We're going to start Thursday night. Saints at Rams.
Rams.
I agree with you. I think the Rams can take that one. They're sneaky good. They're really sneaky good. Like, I think they're going to make the playoffs, and if I'm an NFC team, I don't want to run into the Rams. Moving to Saturday games, because there are 2 of those. First game at 3:30. Bengals at Steelers.
Probably Bengals.
I agree. I don't think Mason Rudolph is going to get it done. Second game, Bills at Chargers. Do I even need to ask?
I mean, with Justin Herbert being out, yeah. I just don't see any chance for that team.
I don't either, even with interim coach and everything else. At this point, they might as well pack up their season. All right, the Sunday game. Sunday. There we are. We're a morning game. Okay. Starting with Browns at Texans.
Well, the problem the Texans are going to run into is who's playing. Is Stroud going to be back? Is Nico Collins going to be back? We don't know. Without Stroud or Nico Collins, I think that they're going to lose. If they have them back, they have a chance at winning. So it's kind of a weird 50-50, but I'm going to give it to the Texans.
I'll take the Browns. I'll take that. I'll take that action. Can't lose them all again, right?
You never know.
What I consider is probably going to be the stinker of the week. You ready?
Being hyper as hell.
Commanders at Jets.
I guess I'll go with the Commanders.
I mean, that's kind of the way I'm leaning too, but I don't know. Seahawks at Titans.
I mean, the Titans have been so up, down. You never know really what you're going to get. Seahawks just come off of a good win, but they're kind of been up, down as well. Literally a 50-50. Fuck it, I'll go with the Seahawks.
I'll take the Titans in that case. Colts at Falcons.
Colts.
I agree. And I don't. I wonder if the Colts are going to hang enough points on the Falcons. This is the game that gets Arthur Smith fired.
We'll see.
Packers at Panthers.
While the Panthers looked better, I don't think will beat the Packers. As much as I don't like the Packers.
I agree. I don't like the Packers, but I agree with you. I just don't think there's anything left for the Panthers to fight for this year. Lions at Vikings.
Interdivision games can always be kind of toss-ups in some ways. I think the Vikings have a real opportunity, mostly based on the fact that our defense is really good. And if you rattle Goff, you can make him make mistakes. Which is, I think, how they were losing games previously, is that a defense was putting pressure on Goff. I don't know if that'll be enough with a backup QB and an offense that is struggling to not turn over the ball.
Especially
and the Lions' defense is also, I was gonna say, is good enough. The problem is that obviously, if their offense is constantly turning it over too, this could end up one of those really boring games where everyone's just turning over the ball all the goddamn time.
Could be. And then we've also got to wonder, is O'Neal still out? Because that's going to make a huge difference on how well we can protect Mullins and whether or not Hutchinson winds up in the backfield a lot and Mullins wears him like a fucking coat.
I don't think that's going to happen. I just see other problems happening. I'm kind of in a weird 50-50 spot on this, but I think I'm going to slightly lean towards the Lions, but only a little bit.
You know what? I'll take the Vikings. Just, I for the most part agree with you.
1 second.
Took him to someone else to watch for a little while?
Just for a little bit.
All right. Yeah, I mean, while I pretty much agree with you that the Lions probably win this, I think we have enough on the defense that will rattle Goff enough that I think the Vikings have a shot to win it. So I will take them, knowing that this probably won't work out for me, but I have hope in my heart. I will say if the Lions win this one, they're going to clinch the division.
Yeah.
Jags at Bucks.
Mm. Hold on. Do we know if Lawrence is going to be back?
We don't. He's in concussion protocol.
Yeah, I was just checking that. Fortunately, we do not know. Again, if we're going based on how the rest of the week's gone for, or the rest of the year's gone for people that go into concussion protocol, very rarely do they come back the next week. So I'm going to assume Lawrence won't play, in which case I will say the Bucks will end up winning that.
I agree with you. 100%. I don't think he plays. I think he wants to play, and I think they're not going to let him. Another game that's going to be weird. I don't know how I feel about this game. Cardinals at Bears.
Both teams are in a weird spot where they're kind of good at times and kind of bad at times. I'm gonna be weird. I'm gonna pick the Cardinals though.
I'll pick the Bears. And my reasoning on this is I feel like the Cardinals' defense is basically garbage. They don't really have much. And I feel like the offenses are mostly equal in terms of what they have and what they do. But I feel the Bears' defense is better. Thus, more positives to the Bears. I do have to take away a few points from Matt Eberflus being the coach, but, you know. Moving along then. Cowboys at Dolphins.
Well, the Dolphins tend to play up pretty well, and the Cowboys tend to lose against teams that are as good as them. So I'm gonna go with the Fins.
I agree with you because also the Cowboys play like garbage away from Jerry World.
Oh
yeah. Patriots at Broncos.
God, that game's gonna suck ass. I guess the Broncos, even though honestly the Patriots do have a chance at winning that. It's just I have little faith in that happening.
I also agree that the Broncos are probably going to win that. I know how much you hate the Broncos and Sean Payton, but I feel like they're probably going to win that. Raiders at Chiefs.
The Raiders look good, but I just don't think they're good enough to beat the Chiefs.
I will disagree, and I will take the Raiders. The Chiefs, if they are going to be beaten by the Raiders, this is the year.
Good luck.
Giants at Eagles.
I mean, I would love to say the Giants are going to win that game, but they're not.
I agree with you.
Honestly, if the Eagles lose this game, they're dropping out of my top 10.
I agree with you. They shouldn't lose this game. The Giants are just not that good. But yeah. And then this is going to be what could be a preview of the Super Bowl. Ravens at Niners.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough game for both teams. But I think the Niners just have a slight edge.
I actually agree, and I will agree with you that it's going to be the Niners. Just a personal thing on that, yeah. But it's going to be a great game.
Probably.
Alrighty. Ready to do some, let's see here. Game balls?
Sure.
Game balls. You can start.
Dolphins defense. You get a game ball.
James Cook. You get a game ball.
I figured as much. Jared Goff. You get a game ball.
He's on my list. Run CMC. You get a game ball.
You know what? Aiden O'Connell, you can have a game ball.
He was on my list as well. However, I still have one more on here. Baker Mayfield. You get a game ball. I always do more than I have to now because I always assume you're going to take at least one of mine.
I typically do extra one or two as well.
Showers. Showers. I'll start with the showers. Derrick Henry. Hit the fucking showers. That was abysmal.
DeAndre Hopkins. You got targeted 9 times and you hauled in 1 pass. That ain't good enough, my guy.
Darnell Mooney. Sorry, bud. You almost had that Hail Mary pass to win the game, and you blew it.
Bijan Robinson. I mean, you didn't get used a lot, but when you were used, you didn't do a lot either. So, yeah, maybe that's not entirely on you, but yeah, you should probably rest up a little bit.
Jalen Hurts. I don't know what's going on with you, but you need to shower the stink of that game off of you.
Brees Hall. Again, you weren't used much, but when you were used, you didn't do a whole fucking lot.
Alrighty. Inferno?
We can go Inferno.
You can start.
Okay. It feels weird to put this person in the Inferno, so I kind of left them at a lukewarm boil. Mike Tomlin, you're in the 3rd circle. I don't like doing this because I like you as a coach. But man, this season's been rough. Last season was rough. There's got to be a point where maybe it's time to move on. And it's getting close. It's getting close, my guy.
I agree. Every so often you just have to move teams. You can only coach at a place for so long before your voice stops carrying weight. And I feel weird about putting this coach here because I like him as a coach, but he looks completely overmatched. And I feel bad for him because he's had to deal with a string of injuries, but it just looks like he has no idea how to get out of the hole that he's in. Robert Saleh. You're in the 3rd circle, my dude. I think you're a great defensive coordinator. You're a hell of a defensive coach. But when it comes to head coaching, you looked absolutely lost against Miami. You had no idea what to do. You got outcoached.
I mean, part of that, again, comes down to the fact, like, when you lose the guy right off the bat,
no, and
you're expecting, you know?
I get that. But, like...
It's hard to recover from that, because they obviously didn't believe in Wilson the minute... That's why they got Aaron Rodgers in the first place, and then to be left with, oh, you get another season of Wilson. It's like, fuck. Like,
they have said they're going to trade him at the end of the season, too.
They are. I assume that they're going to try to pick up somebody from the draft to sit behind Rodgers that they actually have more faith in.
I honestly can't say that I would hate having him, depending on what we would have to give up, but...
I would rather us, based on how everything's going, I think we should draft it. I realize this is contentious because the Vikings hate doing it, but they should draft a QB. And if he falls to us, which it sounds like he probably will, Bo Nix. Bo Nix looks fucking fantastic.
Or Penix Jr. Either one of them.
Yeah.
Those are the two that
I think Penix will get grabbed sooner, but...
Bo Nix, I think I would be okay with Bo Nix. Or J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah. Or J.J. McCarthy, but I prefer Bo Nix over
I would
McCarthy.
prefer Bo Nix over McCarthy, too. But either one of them, I think I would be very happy with.
Yeah.
Anyway, But no, Robert Sala, you're only in the third. You're at a boil. I don't think it's all your fault, but at the same time, you're not sure how to get out of it, and your team has clearly quit on you.
I think he knows how to get out of it, but the problem is that it's going to take until next season because they can't do it now.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying that your team laid down and died last night in Miami.
Oh yeah,
That's what I'm getting at. You've lost the locker room right now. They're clearly.
I don't know if it's necessarily losing the locker room as much as the locker room went, yeah, we're not. This is it. This season ain't it. And they've all realized it. And
I'm not saying he's going to get fired, but
yeah,
it's heating up a little.
It's not like loss of the locker room, like Josh McDaniels, where just all the players hate.
Oh yeah, no, but they've clearly tuned you out because they're clearly thinking about golfing in the offseason at this point.
Yeah, everyone's. In fact, honestly, he's probably looking at the offseason and going, "Fuck this shit," which maybe isn't the best thing to have as a head coach mentality, but at the same time, I don't really blame him for everything that's been going on.
No, I don't. But
like,
New York
it's hard
is
for anybody to not have that mentality of just going, fuck, this season's done. I just want to look forward to the next season.
New York is such a hard market, and I get that, but still,
yeah,
the water's starting to boil because New York is the market it is.
Fair enough. You could argue that this guy should be in a higher circle. I didn't put him as high because I think he's been dealing with a lot of other issues outside of just his lack of properly managing a team and properly divvying out responsibility. But at the same time, I can understand why he doesn't want to. Listen, a lot of people hate Arthur Smith, and he belongs probably in a higher circle than the fourth. But I'm going to put him in the fourth because I don't think everything is on him like everyone says it is. I think he's been dealing with a lot of other issues. For example, QB has been a contentious issue for a while because Desmond Ridder is obviously okay, but he's a backup at best. Tyler Heineke has always been considered a backup. He's never going to be the guy. Bijan Robinson, we've seen have some weird moments where it just seems like he doesn't want to play. Like, there was the whole game, like, I think it was like in
I know
week
which one you're
4 or
talking about.
5. Yeah, where it's like he seemed fine but just refused to go in and play. So I'm wondering if there's like issues with him and the player, which we just don't know if that's true or not. And if it is true, we don't know if there's anyone at fault or not. Like, it's one of those things where it seems like there's a lot of other issues going on around him, which means that, yeah, he probably should go, not necessarily because of him being a bad coach. I don't see a lot of people want to shit on him, say he's a bad coach. I don't know if I agree with that, but I do agree that there's a lot of swirling issues that are happening around him, which means that maybe he needs to get sidelined for somebody else, just go somewhere else. Again, one of those issues of, this ain't it, you need to go somewhere else. Not necessarily because you're a bad coach, but because of everything that's happening around you right now.
I kind of half agree with that, which is why Arthur Smith is in my fifth circle. I had him one lower than you. I'm not going to go lower than that or higher than that right now. I just, like, I'm sorry, but you have a good enough team, and I don't know why you keep drawing up the plays that you do.
Yeah.
That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, and I feel bad for you at this point. So, but yeah, I think you're going to get put out of your misery at the end of the season. It's not all your fault, but you definitely haven't done enough to help fix anything.
Exactly. I mean, you know what my last one is. It's the same that it was last week. It was the same that it was the week before that. Bill Belichick is still in my A circle. Like, I could put him at 10 because everyone knows he's going to get fired, but that's why I'm not going to put him at 10 because he hasn't done anything egregious enough to be like, this guy should go now. It's just like, yeah, you're done. Everyone knows you're done. So, and I had nothing else to put here, so I put him here.
Well, I put someone else there. I'm going to say
I know you did. I didn't. That's why I didn't do it. So
Bill is still stewing in somewhere around the 7th or 8th circle for me anyway, and everybody knows he's just going to be there until he gets fired. However, DeMonte Casey, you're down in the 7th circle. that hit was goddamn Bush League, and you fucking know it. And people are saying, "Oh, he's not a dirty player." Bullshit. There has been a whole ream of evidence that you can point out to say that that's the kind of player he is. He hits hard. Look, so he is a hard, teeth-rattling hitter. And I'm going to say that to the guys who are saying, "Oh, well, maybe you shouldn't lead your receiver as much." Nah, maybe you should know that when the receiver is vertical in the air, that you're going to let him land and then touch him down. Dur, 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 dur. Nobody's saying take the hits out of football. We're saying take that kind of hit out of football because that dude couldn't protect himself diving through the air. Okay? If you had broken his neck or paralyzed him on the field, you would never play football again. Either you would feel too terrible to sign somewhere, or the league would just permanently ban you. And if you keep making hits like that, that's what's going to happen. You concussed Cam Newton and damn near knocked him unconscious. That kind of hit and that kind of Bush League play is what the league needs to get rid of. And I don't care if Tom Brady thinks it's on the quarterback. I'm going to tell Tom Brady, sit down, shut the fuck up, you old fossil. You've got a half point. But to completely absolve the defense is just as dumb. Okay? I've never been a Tom Brady fan. I will acknowledge his place as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, but I think his opinions are just dumb. It's the same thing that I say about Aaron Rodgers. I acknowledge his place as one of the greatest quarterbacks to play the game. However, his personal opinions are fucking stupid. I don't know what they taught him at Cal Berkeley, but he's a moron. They should probably ask for their diploma back if he has one. Okay? That's just my viewpoint on that. All right. The Monty KZ, you were in the 7th, and I really wanted to put you lower, but I can't justify putting you lower than that right now. But you definitely deserve the 3-game suspension. You definitely deserve not to play the rest of the season. I really hope that you sit down and examine the kind of hits you've had in your career and go, maybe that's not a good idea anymore. I can say the same thing for Kareem Jackson. That's the kind of shit we're trying to get out of football. Okay? We want people to have long careers, and you guys are out there making hits like you don't give a shit about anybody's career. Maybe the NFLPA should step up and say something about this, but I doubt they will. Bitches. Okay.
Get that out of your system, you feel better now?
I do. I do. Ready for some power rankings? Are you? Ready for some power rankings?
Do you want to do that or potatoes first?
You know what? Let's do some potatoes. You ready for some potatoes? You can start if you want.
All right. Maybe the Bills will make the playoffs.
That's pretty tame. I'll agree with that. as long as James Cook keeps running like this and everything else, they have a shot now.
I just thought it was funny because I remember like week 5 or 6, I was like, no, the Bills won't make the playoffs. I just thought it was
funny. Maybe.
I'm playing both sides of the game, so I always come out the winner.
Maybe Ty Chandler should be the Vikings starting running back?
I mean, I've been saying that since fucking week 5 or 6, so yeah.
Hey, I'm going to come out with a mild one first as well.
I mean, I've been saying that for a while. Madison's not bad, don't get me wrong, but it's clearly Ty Chandler has just been better, at least in terms of what our O-line provides.
Exactly.
And he's great at just, oh, you didn't give me very big of a hole? That's okay. I'll make it bigger. Like, he's a power back, and he's good at it. Madison's not. Our O-line's fit right now for a power back, not a finesse back. That's just the way it is. All right. Yeah, I guess we'll do this one. 49ers might just be the team to beat in the NFL.
Oh, absolutely.
In other words, they're the top dog easily.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I will eat that potato full on. The Niners, they lost those 3 games, but since then they've been just dominating teams. And then they went out and they got Chase Young at the frickin' trade deadline. Are you frickin' kidding me? Oh, no, they're a disgustingly talented team. Everybody says, oh, take away Brock Purdy's weapons and he's not any good. Well, yeah, if you took away anybody's weapons, they wouldn't be very good. Look at CJ Stroud when he didn't have both Tank Dell and frickin' Nico Collins. He didn't look very good. Everybody needs other playmakers at other positions, man. Even Patrick Mahomes has looked mortal this year without a decent receiver to throw to. All right. Maybe, just maybe, Ivan Pace Jr. is the Defensive Rookie of the Year?
Probably not. I mean, I would say he should be at least contending for it, but I don't know if he'll actually win Rookie of the Year. There's been a lot of really good defensive players this year, especially rookies, so kind of hard. Yeah, I don't know. I'm in the boat where he should be at least contending for it. I don't know if he's gonna win it though.
Okay.
Put it that way. Maybe. Just maybe. Bill Belichick's gonna be the head coach for the Chargers next season.
You know, I'm not gonna say that's impossible, but God, I hope not.
If you think about all the options of where he could go if he decides to still coach, though, it's the only one that sounds even remotely good.
Yeah, no, you're 100% correct. It's the only one that, like, you would go there and it would be like, okay, I've got all the things I need to make another run at a title. Yeah. And I could see them paying him a ridiculous sum of money to coach at least 1 year.
And don't forget, they also did fire their GM, if I remember right. So
yes. I don't like it, but like I said, I don't think it should happen, and I hope it doesn't.
I don't think it should either, but it could very well happen.
Yes, it could very well happen. I've got a pretty spicy one for the final one. Maybe, just maybe, the Eagles won't even win a playoff game this year.
I mean, they're first seed, so... Well, no, they might not be first seed, but...
They might be third.
They might be third.
The Lions can get second, and they might wind up third.
I kind of doubt that, though. I feel like they're going to at least get second seed. Let me think. Who would that end up them playing, then? Probably either that would put us against...
That means they'd have to play in the wild card round.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to figure out that means that there's a chance they'd either play us, because I think we have the 6th seed now, or potentially somebody else that takes that spot, which would be Packers have, I think, I don't think they have a very good opportunity to take it. Who else would it be? There's a couple other NFC teams are kind of in that boat. Bucks, I think, are kind of close. I think the Rams are close, or the Rams AFC.
No, the Rams are NFC, and they're close. So here's where it stands right now. The first overall seed is San Francisco.
Yeah.
Second is Dallas.
They won't hold that.
Third is Detroit. Fourth is Tampa. Fifth is Philly. 6th is Minnesota. 7th is the Rams. So right now, if Dallas holds the second, it would be Philly-Dallas, I believe.
Yeah, I don't
either Philly-Dallas or Philly-Detroit.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think Eagles are a good enough team where they should bounce back and probably get at least third.
Well, and I agree with you because of, if you look at the final runs for those teams. Philly's got like New York, Arizona, New York.
Yeah.
Dallas has Miami, Detroit, Washington. I honestly feel like Philly can win at least 2 of their games, and Dallas is probably only going to win 1 of theirs. So I think Philly is going to wind up taking that. But it's possible Detroit slides into the 2nd seed, and Philly winds up at 3.
That's what I'm saying. I think Philly's going to be 3rd or 2nd, which means that they'll end up playing
Minnesota is 6, Rams are 7, Seattle is 8, New Orleans is 9.
So, as long as the Eagles get into 3rd or 2nd seed, I think they should easily beat up whoever they end up going up against. If they stay down in 4th and 5th and end up having to play one of the higher seeds, that's then where the question mark is going to come in a little bit more for them. But even then, I think they have a pretty good opportunity to win.
Well, if I were Philly and I had to play the Rams, I don't think that's a matchup I would be very happy with.
I still think they should end up winning that game. I think overall, I think the odds of them not winning a playoff game this year is unlikely.
Okay,
they're a good enough team, and they've been shown to be resilient enough. While the last 2 weeks have been a little rough on them, remember that's only been 2 weeks. It happens.
Actually, they've lost 3 in a row.
I think it's only been 2 in a row.
3.
I don't think they lost 3.
I'm almost.
Because they lost last week to the Cowboys, and then they lost this week to the Seahawks.
Niners, Cowboys, Seahawks.
Was it Niners? I thought they played somebody else before that.
Nope, Niners, Cowboys, Seahawks.
Either way,
it's almost been 4 because they barely beat the Bills. They took overtime to beat the Bills.
Yeah, the problem is that you got to remember is that like it's a tough schedule. They're good teams. They're all good teams. Like the only one that they probably should have beaten was the Seahawks. I mean, the Cowboys was always going to be a tough team. The Niners was definitely going to be a tough team. The Bills were considered a good team until recently, and even now I still say that they're still a really tough team to play. So I don't think that's really fair. If they play against a team that's definitely worse than them, like say the Vikings, like they'll win that game. They play against the Rams, it'll be a tougher game because the Rams are far better than what they look like, but they should still win that game. Like,
do you want to revisit this if they lose to the Giants next week?
Dude, if they lose to the Giants, I don't know what happens. They're not going to lose to the Giants, but if they do, I'm going to be very concerned if they lose to the Giants.
I think we all will. You ready to do some power rankings?
Yeah, sure.
All right, you can start.
At number 10, I got a team returning to my top 10. New this week, but they're returning. It is the Bills. They have returned finally to the top 10. It took a while, but they finally did it. They're here. Welcome back. Let's see if you can continue that climb.
I also have a team returning to the top 10, and it is also the Bills. And I had a couple of things that I was thinking, do I put the Rams here? Can I put the Bills here? Who should I put here? And it was the Bills. Rams are just outside, but I'll tell you, there's some teams down here that are falling that if they keep screwing up, there might be some space on here for the Rams.
Funny you mentioned that. At number 9, I have the Rams. I think they're frankly better team than their record says they are. They're winning games and they're looking good. Enough said.
At number 9, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. You did win, but you're still looking real rough. I'm not sure how your season's going to go, but I don't think it ends with the Super Bowl.
We'll see. At 8, I have the Eagles. You are continuing to plummet, and if you do actually lose to the Giants, boy oh boy, you're not going to be on this list for very long.
At 8, I also have the Eagles. For all of the same fucking reasons.
Fair enough. At 7, I have the Cowboys. Man, you guys were riding high, and that looked like a bitch stomping. So you get dropped pretty hard.
At number 7, I have the Lions. You had fallen a bit. You're kind of climbing again. Let's see if you can keep climbing or if you're going to fall again.
At 6, I have the Chiefs. I realize that this may be a little higher for you than you should be, but at the same time, I do think you are actually in a slightly better position than both the Cowboys and Eagles, but very, very, very slightly. You're all kind of in the same clump together, in my opinion, at the moment.
At 6, I have the Cowboys. Basically the same idea. I just... like... But I had them higher up than you. I think I had them at 2. And so that's a 4-slot fall. That's quite a fall.
Yeah, I think I had them at 3 or 4.
You had them at like 3 or 4. I had them at like 2. So for me, they took a 4-slot fall. What am I doing?
Wording.
Yep.
At 5, still staying at 5, the Browns. Well done. Honestly, I couldn't really shift you up or down because, frankly, you did well enough. And how about that's the only thing I can say about that.
At 5, the Bengals. You shifted up some.
The Bengals aren't even on my list.
They're still on mine because they're still in the hunt. They're not going to catch the
on
Ravens.
my list. Yeah, I was going to say they were on my list last week. They got dropped off mostly because, like, they won, but it didn't look good. And that's the only reason.
You know, but I still... You got to win those tough games and those muddy games if you're going to keep winning.
I know, but in comparison, I then didn't have the Bills on here, and the Bills definitely needed to be on here. So, you know.
Yeah, and that's why I don't have the Rams on here yet, but...
See, I think the Rams deserve to be on here because they've won now, what, 3 games in a row? Like,
if they win next week, I'm gonna have to find someone to drop and put them on. Yes, 100%.
So it's just a tough choice. I think the Bengals are good. They're like right on the outside of my top 10, but they just.
I feel the same way about the Rams.
that are just better.
So we'll see. But yeah, so the Bengals are number 5 on my list.
Oh, number 4. I have the Lions. You've climbed back up, in my opinion, because that was a really good showing. Don't ruin it now.
If they lose to the Vikings, they may drop off my list.
They won't drop off mine, but they will sink.
Well, I've only got them at 7, so they could drop all the way off of mine.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
And I would probably put the Rams on there. At number 4, I have the Browns. It wasn't a great win, but it was still a win, and you're still getting starts out at Joe Flacco. Who would have thunk? Yeah, you're finding ways to win without all your superstars, and I think that's amazing. I think the only major superstar you still have is...
You're going to say Myles Garrett, but I think it's... You know,
it is Myles Garrett.
I think Amari Cooper is still a pretty good star.
Yeah,
they just haven't been able to utilize him because of the quarterback that's throwing to him.
He's not Myles Garrett, though, but Myles Garrett is... Yeah. All right.
Number 3, I have the boys from Miami, the Dolphins. They're just looking good, and they keep slowly pulling up the rankings. I mean, it's going to be hard to overtake the Ravens, but hey, they're the team. If there's going to be a team that's going to do it, it looks like it's going to be the Finns, you know?
I also have the Finns at number 3. I'm going to guess our top 3 are the exact same.
Probably.
But I agree with you. I think it's going to be hard for them to overtake the Ravens. But if the Miami wins next week and the Ravens lose to the Niners, maybe.
Number 2, we have the Ravens. I'm going to imagine your number 2 is also the Ravens.
My number 2 is also the Ravens, which means our number 1s are also the Niners.
The 49ers, yeah. So, it just makes sense. The 49ers are the team to beat in the NFL at the moment. The Ravens are the next closest, which just means that whoever comes out on top next week is probably going to be number 1. And whoever loses is going to have a slight dip.
I agree with you 100%. It's gonna be a fun end of the season here. There are some good games still on the slate, but there are also some teams that have quite an easy schedule. Minnesota's last 3 games are going to be like I'm anxious to watch these because it's Lions, Packers, Lions.
Yeah, it's literally going to determine if we're in the playoffs or not.
It may
And then
even
it's going to also
determine
determine if we get
the division.
getting the first seed, which is crazy to think about. That we can still somehow win the conference. Like,
Yes.
the fuck?
What the hell? All right. I do have some NHL power rankings. I don't have a hockey corner today. I wanted to do one on like DJ Smith and how he's mismanaged all the talent that's in Ottawa, but I didn't have time to research it. But I do, and I will do a quick power rankings, and maybe we'll get that next week then. So at number 10, the Colorado Avalanche. They are 19-10-2 with 40 points. Their last 10, they are 4-4-2. Again, I think they're just skating to get to the playoffs at this point. I don't think they feel threatened by anybody, and I think they're just kind of biding their time until the playoffs hit. Number 9, the Philadelphia Flyers. After the season you had last year and the year before, for you to be up here is amazing. They are 17-10-3 with 37 points, but in their last 10, they are 7-1-2. They have come to life in the last 10. Number 8, the Toronto Maple Leafs, who are 16-6-6 with 38 points. In the last 10, they are 6-1-3, coming off of a 7-0 stomping of the Penguins. They're starting to round into form. They finally figured out their lines. They finally seem to have gotten everything worked out. And they've got guys out there gritty, throwing hits. And, you know, the thing about the Leafs that everybody always used to say was they're soft. They're a soft team, and almost nobody's going to fight you. But this year, like, Matthew Nyes is throwing hands. Max Domi's throwing hands. Robertson's throwing hands. There's a guy on it. Bertuzzi will throw hands. There's a guy on every line who will stand up for a teammate and hit you, check you, pounce you, throw hands, something. So this is a very, very well-rounded team this year. And I think if any team, if they're ever going to make a deep playoff run, this might be the year for them. Number 7, the Kings, the LA Kings, 17-6-4, 38 points. Last 10, 6-3-1. They're not doing bad, but they've definitely fallen off somewhat. It'll be interesting to see if they can get their stroke back and figure out what's going on there. Number 6, the Winnipeg Jets, 18-9-3, 39 points. Last 10, 6-3-1. Winnipeg continues to just amaze me with how good they are playing and just how often they can win. And they have, Hellebuck is honestly acting like he's the best goalie in hockey at this point. He might win the Vezina this year. Number 5, having fallen way off, the New York Rangers. They are 21-7-1 with 43 points. In their last 10, they are 6-4-0. They are starting to take a bit of a tumble, and that is not good for them. Number 4, the Dallas Stars, 18-8-4, 40 points. Last 10, they are 5-3-2. Dallas is another one of those teams that I feel is just like skating to the playoffs and trying to wait and conserve energy. Number 3, the Boston Bruins, 19-5-5, 43 points. Last 10, 5-3-2. Same as Dallas. I feel like they're just skating at this point to get to the playoffs. They do play the Wild tonight. I don't think that's going to be a good game for the Wild. I do think Boston is probably going to dominate them. I'm not, that's not going to be a fun game to watch, I don't think. Unless you're a Boston fan, in which case it's going to be great. I did see something recently that came up on my YouTube shorts that was hilarious. And it proves why Bostonians love Brad Marchand and every other fan base hates him. He was walking off the ice after warm-ups, and practice in the morning before, walking off before warm up skate before the game starts. And there was a guy there that had his phone out and he was taking like video of the players as they're walking down the tunnel. Marchand grabbed the phone and just goes, "Hey, this is BM, whatever his number is. I hope whoever this belongs to, I don't know who the phone belongs to, but I hope you're going to have a great time at the game tonight because I know I sure as hell am." And then he passed the phone off to a security guy, and I guess they got the dude's phone back, but just reached up and took the dude's phone. Like, if you're a Bostonian, how do you not just love that? Because now you've got a message from Brad Marchand on your phone. Number 2, the Vancouver Canucks, 21-9-2, 44 points, last 10, 7-2-1. Vancouver, this year to last year, night and day. They are playing incredibly good hockey. Brock Besser he's like the second highest goal scorer in hockey currently, and he is absolutely dominant. This entire team is really hard to beat. They are playing some of the best hockey they've played in a long time. And it's going to be fun to watch them make the playoffs finally. The hockey guy is going to lose his shit. Because he lives over near in or around the Abbotsford area. And they're the feeder team they're the AHL team for the Canucks, and he's been a Canucks fan for a long time. I believe he's a Bruins Canucks Stars fan, so all three of his teams are doing really well this year. At number 1, you know them, you hate them, the Vegas Golden Knights. 21-6-5, 47 points, last 10, 7-1-2. Look, they slipped out of the top spot for a little while, but now they're back. They're squishing people, they're smashing, mashing. I don't know if anyone... I legitimately, I don't know if there's a way that they don't win another Stanley Cup this year. And I know that's annoying, but they are that good. It's really going to be annoying for a lot of people. So, that's my hockey top 10. Anything else you want to close out with?
Hope.
I mean, I will say we did have our first stream on Friday, which I had a blast with. And I'm making a list. I have a whole list of axe puns.
Of course you do.
I have a whole list, and people have been offering me suggestions too.
I'm not shocked.
So, you will get more axe puns on Friday. We do stream about 7 o'clock on Friday.
Fucking murder me now.
Huh?
Said fucking murder me now.
Well, I did like, and I kept my mouth shut because I didn't want to say anything, because your reaction to Withers was the exact same reaction I had. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have touched that. The first time I met him, too, I was like, oh, is this not where I'm supposed to be yet? Am I about to die? And then he asked the question, I was like, huh? So yeah, that was fun.
Fair enough.
But yeah, we have completed the first little bit of the game. We will be streaming again this Friday. We will probably start again between 6:30 and 7, and we will probably game till about 10:30 or 11 o'clock. It is over on Twitch, so go to Twitch, look up Games Past Their Prime. That is his Twitch channel. And if you don't just want to watch on Fridays and you want to watch him get frustrated at Souls-like games, I believe you are still currently playing Sekiro.
I am. I have no idea how far I am. I feel like I've been playing it forever, and I'm still not done.
Did you beat him?
Oh yeah, I'm well past that now. I'm in the Divine Realm now.
Okay.
I think I'm at another boss. I think I'm like right. I might not be at him yet, but I think I'm like right at the boss where you fight the dragon. So, I'm pretty far along, I think? Question mark. 'Cause every time I think I'm getting close, all of a sudden there's whole new levels and sections where I'm like, fuck me, I'm not done yet?
Has he beat the snake?
You mean, did I stab the snake? Yeah, I stabbed the snake.
You only stabbed it once though, but there's a whole thing underneath
No,
there
no,
where
I
you...
stabbed him again.
Okay, so you
There's
went
a
and
part
got the
where you
snake.
drop down on top
Yep.
of him and
Did you get the
stab.
snake
Yeah.
fang?
Uh,
I believe there's a snake fang in a temple underneath there that you need, or a scale or something.
yeah, it was his scale. I got the, no, it was his fruit. It was the fruit of the, his
Whatever.
heart fruit
I
or
know
whatever
there's
it is.
something
Yeah,
under there
I got
that you
that.
needed. Yeah.
Yeah, I got that.
But yeah,
There's two of them. There's the living one that you get from stabbing him, and then there's the other one you avoid where you have to make him eat a monkey.
Yes.
So yes, I've gotten both the fruits. I'm well past that at this point. I got the other mask piece, so I have all the mask pieces which allow you to use skill points to increase your attack power, which is kind of fun. So if you don't have like skill points you want to spend on, um, you know, anything else, you can spend them to increase your attack. I just got that. But yeah, so I'm right before we were supposed to get the dragon tears. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. But I'm at that part, which means I feel like I gotta be coming up, like, I gotta be at least 3/4 through the game. I believe I'm about 3/4 through. Maybe I'm not, but if my guess is right that the change in the castle is about the halfway point, or a little past the halfway point, then I think I'm about 3/4 through. I think. I haven't looked up anything. I have no idea. I have no idea how the game ends. I don't know any of the bosses. Like, I'm going into this completely fresh. Like, this is my first playthrough of the game this far. I do plan on trying for another ending or two, possibly, because I believe there's like 4 endings to the game.
There are, and the hardest one to get is the best ending.
I've been told I'm on the good ending right now. Quote
There
unquote,
is a good ending, but there is the best ending as well.
Yeah, I don't know if I was also told that there's like some obscure eavesdrops that I have to be able to make to get a certain boss as well, which I've been trying my best to get every eavesdrop that I've seen, so I'm not sure if maybe I've missed it already or not. And as far as if I'm on the path for the true ending, I have no idea. I don't know what is required for the true ending, so I don't know if I'm on that path or not, or if I've already missed my opportunity to be on that path.
To get the true best ending, you've already missed it, because you will not be able to get it your first playthrough. It's absolutely...
Oh, it's literally impossible? Okay.
It's not impossible, it's just super difficult. I will tell you how to get it without breaking anything, because you already kind of probably know.
I mean, outside of beating the first guy the first time through. Like...
That's what it is. You have to beat him the first time through, and that's the true best ending, as far as I understand. Because then you don't resurrect, and you don't have to use the power of the dragon, and the dragon rot doesn't enter the realm, and...
It's not an actual... It's an ending, but it's not a... Yeah. It's contentious if that's considered a real... true ending or not, right?
Because I know, but that's kind of there is an ending for that, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I would consider it necessarily the best ending. I believe I've been told I'm on the good true ending currently.
Yes, you are. Like, you are getting the fruits and everything. Yeah, you had to do that. Yeah.
So,
what are you planning to play after Sekiro?
After Sekiro, I haven't 100% decided, because in fact I'm going to play through it probably twice at least. Maybe I might end up, depending on how much longer the game is, I might be like, fuck it, I'm going to play something else first and then go back to do a second playthrough later. But currently slated, I plan on playing Bloodborne next.
It's a good game.
I have not played much of. I played only a little bit of. So
I played a little bit of it too. And while I am not a Souls-like person, I did have some fun with it. So
yeah, and I know that there's multiple endings also to that game as well.
There are.
I believe there's at least 3.
I believe so.
I think there might be only 3 actually. Because I know there's a true ending, I know there's a bad ending, and I know there's the normal ending. Basically.
The true ending takes a lot to get to, though.
Yes, I've heard it takes a lot, and it's pretty difficult at times. However, I've been told that the final boss. Here's the thing: I've been I know. I'll put it this way: I know who most of the bosses are. Not that I have a very good memory of it, but I do, and I don't know how to get to most of them. But I do know like most of the bosses. And I've been told that the true boss, the true ending boss that you end up fighting, is actually not that hard once you get a rhythm to it. I've been told it's actually one of the easier bosses overall.
Once you get the
But
rhythm. But
yeah,
until you get that, he's such a bitch.
that's what I've been told. Yeah.
But he doesn't change up his rhythm, so
No, apparently he's got like pretty much 4 or 5 attacks, and once you get those down, it's pretty easy.
yeah.
So
All right. Well,
obviously, I haven't gotten there yet. So
no, but there's still a long time to go with that. You have gotten. I saw you have the first episode of Sekiro up
yep,
on the YouTube channel. Are
yep.
you? Is your goal still to try to have the first Baldur's Gate 3 playthrough up by the new year?
My current plan is I have a total of 5 more Sekiro episodes that are rendered, so they're done and ready to start uploading. I plan on uploading about 2 videos a day if I can. Um, Based on internet, it might come out to be 1.5 technically, but close to 2 a day is going to supposedly come out if I can. And my goal is by the end of this week, I have one more Sekiro stream I want to cut and start making renders of because uh, I have 3 more streams that I haven't cut and rendered,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's not including the Baldur's Gate one, which is technically my fourth. So I plan on cutting one more Sekiro, and then cutting up Baldur's Gate, and then hopefully Friday I will get the first Baldur's Gate episode up, and then my goal from there is hopefully, I don't think this will be always the same, but I plan on doing 2 episodes a day, but one will be my solo stream, and then one will be the Baldur's Gate stream, and that's kind of how I'm hoping to have it done. I don't think I'll have enough Baldur's Gate content to be able to upload every day Baldur's Gate, but I'm going to do that for a little bit, and then we'll see kind of how the backlog goes. So I'm
Gotcha.
hoping to have the first one up this Friday.
Gotcha. I just wanted anybody that's watching this and has made it to this point, which I think will be a total of 0 people.
Probably.
Anybody
True.
who's watching and may have wanted to know that information is here. It is. It is available. Um, so, with that being said, we will bring this episode to a close. We hope that all of you have a great week. We hope that all of you have a wonderful time. Playoffs are coming up. Lots of fun things. Oh, real quick, before we end the episode, I wanted to bring this up while we're on air. Well, we're not really on air, but while we're recording. I was going to say, let's add some spice to the picks.
I don't know how you want to do that.
Now, what we did last year, so I want to bring this up. This is kind of something I wanted to run by you. We did a 10-year retrospective draft of the first round of a draft 10 years previous. I'd like to do that again this year. However, I'd like whoever wins and gets the most correct picks, which is currently you and probably will be you, but for future seasons of this show, I would like whoever wins the overall picks, they have the first overall pick in the retrospective draft that we do that year.
Gotcha.
What do you think?
I mean, we could do that. It's not. I mean, I don't think it really matters one way or the other. It's just more of a slight interest, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's super spicy. I'm just saying, have a reward for it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's fine.
Okay. All right. And we may change that again in the future if we ever decide to do like something. We'll figure it out. Anyway, we hope that the rest of you have a great time. Have fun out there. Whatever you put your mind to, I hope you accomplish it. We will see you back here again next week. I will probably have this up again about Thursday. Thursday morning, more than likely. I will try to edit this and have it all cut and ready to go Wednesday to be put up Wednesday night while I sleep. we'll see you then. We'll see you back here next Tuesday. And we will talk more sports and we will talk more stuff. Until then, we hope that everybody out there stay awesome, feel awesome, stay bearded. Peace. Wah, wah. Double Doc.